All right, welcome back. It is a double upload day. Yes, we're getting back into the double uploads as we make our way back into the DPC. Of course, we're only a few days away from the roster lock period ending, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun to look at some of the bigger name teams and some of the bigger name players that are still needing to make some changes within the next 5 days, essentially. So. I've basically gone through and I've ran through every single team from the upper division of every region, including the two teams from the lower division that are going to be making their way into the upper division. So that is 10 teams for region total. For the carry side of things, as I've listed out players from every single position, I actually had to exclude just a few of them. There were so many carry players available in the pool, it was actually kind of surprising. So I kind of just stuck with the bigger names, but for the rest of them, I generally just went with every single player from the upper division or the two teams from the lower division that are going to be upped into the upper division. So, yeah, again, just a little fun video, a little tongue-in-cheek. Maybe we can make some speculations and stuff like that. And if I didn't put a player that you were expecting to see on here in this video, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. You guys can discuss amongst yourselves, and maybe I'll hop in and we'll have a fun little chat about maybe some things that could be happening in the next few days. So, starting off with Team Liquid, Team Liquid actually being the only team on this list that their problem is that they have too many players right now, which is not a bad problem to have. I'd honestly rather be in their position than missing a player. They, of course, acquired Zai from Team Secret, meaning that they now have 6 members, and we don't exactly know if Zai is going to be changing positions. And if he does, then we really don't know who they're getting rid of. If he stays as position 3, do they get rid of Boxy? We don't really know right now, but Liquid do have 6 members. As for Alliance, they're looking for a position 2, 3, and 5 after losing FNG, Limp, and S4. Team Secret are missing a position 1 and 3 after losing Matumbamet and Zai, like I previously mentioned. OG, and this is an interesting one because we still don't even know if more players are going to be leaving OG. Time is kind of running out, but of course Seb after TI10 mentioned that that was likely going to be his last tournament. There have been speculations that Thompson would maybe step away, maybe No Tail goes into retirement. But as of right now, they're only missing a position 1 and 4 after Sumail and Saksa departed from OG. Again, it's unclear whether or not these were kicks. I feel like the Sumail one was just him leaving. I don't think OG was necessarily the best fit for Sumail. He, of course, had joined them prior, back after TI9, and then he came back to them right before TI10, as he was not part of a team at that point. Next up, we have the Hellbear Smashers, who are looking for a position 4 now, after the departure of Gilger. These guys are obviously being demoted to the lower division for the upcoming season, and we'll have to see who they end up picking up. And last but not least, Spider Pigs, who previously were known as Level Up. These guys are actually getting upped into the upper division. At least I'd assume they are, because the Level Up organization is no longer a part of Dota. These are the players from that organization. However, they are missing a position 4 out of 5 right now, but they're heading into the upper division. So maybe because they're in the upper division now, they can grab some of these bigger name players and actually have quite the successful run. We'll have to see how it goes. And that does it for Western Europe. Again, I'm only covering the teams that participated in the upper division in Season 2 and teams that finished top 2 in the lower division. For Eastern Europe, the pool is a little bit smaller. I think Eastern Europe has gone through the most part of its shakeup already. They're kind of past the climax of their roster shuffle period. Of course, the past couple weeks I've been running through some new rosters that they've been having. So all that's left now is AS Monaco Gambit missing a position 4 and 5, Windstrike missing a mid player, and Extremum missing an entire roster right now. So of course, after TI10, we saw a lot of organizations lose rosters in entirety, especially in South America. We saw a ton of organizations and full rosters parting ways. While the roster still maintains itself and just joins another organization, or maybe they switch out one player and join an organization. Either way, it's unclear whether or not Extremum are going to be able to find an entire roster, or if they're still looking for an entire roster. They are getting relegated down to the lower division, so maybe it's a little bit less encouraging for the organization themselves to actually keep participating in Dota, but we'll have to see. They do still own a DPC slot in the lower division of the DPC. Next up, South America. Again, talking about some full rosters that are missing. We have No Ping missing an entire roster. Also Unknown missing an entire roster. We then have Hokori, who are missing a position 1 and 2, but they do have, I believe it's RDO filling in for them right now, although he's only marked as a stand-in, so it's unclear whether or not he's going to be staying with them. But I'm sure if things get a little bit desperate, they'll be trying to bring him onto the team as time is running out. Looking now at North America also has gone through a lot of changes. That's not very unusual for the region itself. It is a very volatile region, even though it's quite small in player base in comparison to some of the other regions. Evil Geniuses, they of course now are missing their position 5 player after Fly joined Talon Esports, who are of course a new organization coming into Dota. There have been rumors, like I've mentioned before on the channel, that Insania would maybe join them. It was kind of considered that Insania was likely trolling. However, now Fly is actually gone. Team Liquid needs to get rid of a player. If they get rid of Insania, then who plays 5? Is it going to be Zai? Is it going to be Taiga? Is it going to be Boxy? It's a really big mess right now over in Team Liquid, especially if they don't end up getting rid of one of their players soon. For Zoomers, of course, we had the complete liquidation of their roster. Slowly but surely, members started leaving. However, some of them ended up coming back just for a temporary tournament that took place over the weekend, of the likes of Gunnar, even Costabile coming in and filling in for them for position 1, although it's unclear whether or not any of them are actually going to be staying with the team right now. Right now, it just looks like they just wanted to join a team so they could participate in this tournament. So again, for Zoomers, another team that, as of right now, does not actually have any official players yet. We have Sad Boys missing their position 1, 2, and 3, Black and Yellow missing their position 4 and 5, and Simply 2-Based missing out on a position 4. Next up in the Southeast Asia region, we have Fnatic, who are missing their position 2 and 3, TNC Predator, who are missing what I can tell their entire roster right now, which is a little bit surprising. TNC Predator, like I'd mentioned earlier today in my news of the day, they had a pretty consistent season, but they probably just didn't reach the high points that they were hoping that they would with their roster. And so right now, as of right now, they do not have a roster, at least from what I can tell. If I'm wrong about anything that I'm saying in this video, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. This is just me basing this off of Liquipedia pages and the Season 2 DPC. Next up, we have Boom, who have been actually participating in some of these smaller tournaments, like I've mentioned over the past couple weeks, with a full roster. However, they are still missing an official position 1, especially after Hyde from their team departed today to play with Talon. So they're still missing one of their position, a position 1 for their roster, as well as Execration and SMG have still yet to fill the slot that KP left there when he left SMG back in September. And finally, looking at the last region now, we have China, which before I get into China, I will mention that it looks like Elephant as an organization will not be participating in Dota anymore. Of course, we had the disbandment of their roster to this point, which is still not 100% certain. It's been a lot of leaked information, but no announcements as of yet. But it looks like Elephant as a organization will not be partaking in Dota, at least in the next season. So yeah, I'm just going to throw that out there for why I have all of the Elephant members over here. We have Ehome, who technically is missing an entire roster. They have a plethora of players that they have on their inactive squad right now. So I'm assuming that Ehome is just kind of moving everyone to their inactive roster, seeing who's willing to come in, and then maybe just if they have any holes left to fill, they just take them back from their inactive roster. They're just kind of holding their cards close to their chest a little bit, making sure that they're not going to get screwed over by players leaving or anything like that. But as of right now, they technically do not have a roster. Everyone is on the inactive side. We have Sparking Arrow, who of course was in the upper division of the China region as well, missing a position 2 and 4, and LBZS, who is coming in from the lower division into the upper division this upcoming season, and they are missing a position 1 and 2. So that has been all the teams that are that you can expect to see some changes in the upcoming few days. Again, we're only 5 days away from the roster shuffle period being pretty much completed. Of course, teams need to have at least 4 members, from what Valve had mentioned, at least 4 members signed to their team by November 21st. And then if they need more time to get that last member of their team, they have until November 28th. So they have between 5 and 12 days to get everything absolutely finalized. So just keep in mind that pretty much every single team on this board is going to be going through some substantial changes through the next few days. Looking at position 1 players, and again, I had to exclude a few position 1 players. There were way too many to keep track of, so I just kind of went with the bigger name players. Starting off with Western Europe, we actually only have 2, and that is Sumail and Matumabin, probably the 2 biggest carry players when it comes to popularity on this list, both coming from the same region, of course. I'm not keeping this region-based. I just sort of wrote them down region-based. I know that players are likely to switch regions at times. I mean, Fly today left North America for Southeast Asia. Sumail has played in North America before. So I don't want to restrict any of these players to just the region that they're playing in. And for the positions that I have them into, I just have them listed as the position that they most recently played on a professional team in the DPC. So I know Sumail has played mid. Matuma has also been known as a mid player at times, but the last position that they played on their last team has been position 1, and so I'm just putting it on here for the sake of simplicity. Next up, we have RDO, who is a Brazilian player who last played in the Eastern European region with Level Up, like I mentioned earlier, has dissolved and they became Spider Pigs. However, RDO did not end up sticking with that stack. He's actually playing with Hokori now, which is a South American team, which is, I gotta say, a little bit closer to where he's from. Of course, he's from Brazil, so it makes more sense that he's gonna end up there. However, he's still just listed as a stand-in right now, so for Hokori. So all the members here written in pink or purple, however you want to see it, are all members that are either on an inactive slot on a team, or they're just listed as stand-ins or subs. So they're still technically a part of a team, but they are also probably able to be approached by some other teams if need be. Palentimos, we have Kuman, Smiley Knight, and Costabil, who are some pretty big name players. The first two coming from Eastern Europe, of course. I'd be very surprised if Kuman doesn't end up on a team. HFN, of course, another South American player who has yet to find a team. He last played on No Ping, so he just barely missed out on TI this year. From the North American region, we have Sammy Boy, who last played on Four Zoomers. We have Fear, who was actually coaching Thunder Predator back at TI, but I think that was just because he didn't qualify to TI himself as a player, and he was just kind of hoping to hop on as a coach for a team. Then that's what he did. It didn't exactly pan out very well, but it's what he did. But regardless, he's a position 1 free agent as of right now. We have Dreamacell from Southeast Asia. We then have Eurus and Sylar. Eurus, of course, coming from Elephant. So again, not 100% clear whether or not that's going to be a free roster to grab for anyone, but it should be noted that Eurus, aka Paparazzi, has been playing a lot of mid lately. It's not official that he's going to be playing mid on his next team, but he's been spamming a lot of mid lane, and it's been making a lot of waves on Reddit. People have been following. I think he's number 1 in Europe right now, rank 1, which is pretty ridiculous. Sylar, again, being an inactive member of Ehome, like I talked about earlier. And then I Don't Care, who is, I believe, a player from the lower division making his way up into the upper division, or was supposed to had he stayed with his team. Looking at position 2 now, we have only one member from Western Europe, and that is a Limp. He's the only mid laner free agent right now that was part of the upper division or the top 2 teams from the lower division that is not on the team right now. And I gotta say, after this year, I don't think there's a whole lot of demand for him. I gotta say, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on a lower tier team. I think he's had a pretty down year. Not to say that he isn't capable of bringing it back and having a bounce back year, but considering the fact that no team is really looking for a mid laner right now, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he finds himself on a lower tier team. Next up, we have Iceberg, who of course is a pretty well-known player as well from the Eastern European region. Young G, Depressed Kid, also coming from that region. We have 40R coming in from South America, probably the biggest name mid laner right now that has yet to be claimed. He was, of course, previously on SG Esports at TI, who did better than Thunder Predator at TI. That's all I'll really say. He did surprise me a little bit, though. I gotta say 40R or 80R was one of the most impressive players on that roster. Watching him during TI, he was always the one that was fronting a lot of their games that they were either coming back in or really, really pressuring the other team and turning the tides. So I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't end up getting picked up. Next up, we have Gunner, who of course last played on Four Zoomers. Again, it's unclear whether or not he's going to be returning to Four Zoomers or getting picked up by another team. He did play with Four Zoomers in that last little tournament that we had over the weekend, but right now, no team yet. Armel from the Southeast Asia region, of course, needs no introduction. Last played for TNC, who, like I mentioned, does not have a signed roster yet. It's possible that they bring him back in, but we don't know yet. We have Somnus, of course, from Elephant, and then XM, another member of the inactive squad of Ehome. Now, looking at position 3s, again, Western Europe being very deprived of their position 3s right now, and them both coming from Alliance, and that is S4. And S4, I think, is kind of the same case as Limp. He had a pretty down year. I won't say he was the most unreliable player. I think S4 really prides himself on being a really, really reliable offlaner, but that's kind of all he's been as of late. He hasn't been that incredible, outstanding offlaner that a lot of these other teams have been having lately. And given the fact that there are not a lot of teams looking for offlaners right now, Team Secret being the only other one, I wouldn't find it very surprising, again, if he ends up in the lower division, if no other teams open up a position 3 slot for him. I do know that he is an older player. He probably would be able to coach or captain a team, and so maybe he gets brought in more of a leadership role for some younger team, up and coming team, tier 2 team, something like that. That wouldn't surprise me very much. Again, he's been around for a very long time. We then have Tavo, Sexy Fat, coming in from the South American region. Tavo, again, being another player from SG Esports, who have just replenished themselves a new roster to this point. However, their old roster has yet to find a home. We have Leslau, who at this point I thought I'd throw him on a list just because we don't know whether or not he's coming back to Pro Dota. I excluded Resolution because Resolution and Eternal Envy have both exclusively said that they're going to be stepping away from the pro scene for a little while. However, Leslau, aka Lelis, just mentioned that he wasn't sure what he was going to be doing, if he's going to be joining a team, stepping away for a while. We don't know yet, so I thought I'd throw him on the list. He had a pretty impressive showing at TI10 this year with Quincy Crew, but again, we'll have to see how that goes. We then have Monster, another offlaner from North America. We then have Schwan from Southeast Asia, who had a pretty good tournament at TI10. I gotta say, he was one of the more outstanding members of that team. Has yet to find a home, as well as Bach, Sam H. And making our way to China now, we have Yang and Chalice. Chalice, of course, being a part of Ehome's inactive roster to this point. We'll see if they end up keeping Chalice or if Chalice ends up joining a new team. Next up, position 4. Again, some bigger name players here, starting off with Saksa, who of course was with OG. He really came into his own, I think. Of course, he was a finalist at TI6 back with Digital Chaos, and he's been kind of lingering in the tier 2, tier 3 scene for a little while. And when he joined OG, he really improved. I think a lot of the members of OG have even mentioned how much he's improved since he ended up joining them. But now he finds himself as a free agent. I know that on one of his Twitch streams, he had mentioned that he didn't leave OG, so he was kind of implying that he got kicked. But again, I think OG is just going through a really major shakeup right now, and we might not see a lot of those members returning for this next season. We then have Aramis, of course, from the Eastern European region, Seiyu and Roger as well, Theo Licor from South America, of course, again, part of that SG Esports lineup that went to TI. We have MSS and Ocean and Playhard from, Playhard is not from North America, but we have MSS and Ocean from North America, of course. Ocean leaving for Zoomers as well, and MSS has yet to really find a team. I think he was looking for a team in Europe, actually. On his Twitter, he had mentioned that he was looking for a new team, and he specified that he'd rather play in Europe, but to this point, he has yet to be picked up. And finally, we have Playhard and Fade. Fade, again, being a player from Ehome, yet to be picked up or moved back onto the active roster. Finally, looking now at our position 5s, we have FNG, previously on Alliance, of course. Always Want to Fly, and Lil. Lil is actually still an available member. He is a member that has been around for a very long time, so again, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get picked up by any team, or if he doesn't end up being like a coach or a captain if teams get filled up too quickly. Again, Eastern Europe is kind of done most of their shakeups at this point, so it's possible that he'll have to join a team as a coach or a captain of some sort. We have Vanscore, KJ, SVG, Husky, Jubei, and X Nova. Again, X Nova being a part of Ehome, the inactive squad. So yeah, a lot of popular names on this list, and I'm going to be interested. I'm going to keep this board up like this. I'm going to keep it all written down, and as the days go on, I'm going to start crossing off teams, crossing off players that get picked up. And I think at the end of the roster shuffle period in a couple weeks from now, I'm going to do another video looking at this board, looking at all the players that did end up getting picked up and all the players that didn't, and then maybe doing a deeper dive on why some players maybe got passed on, why some teams maybe didn't feel like it'd be the right decision to pick up some of these players, etc., etc. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm going to be having a Twitch stream pretty much immediately after this. My Twitch stream might actually start a little bit late because I'm going to have to edit this really quickly. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you guys at the Twitch stream right after this video. Bye.